All right, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and review for our test. Go ahead and log on to this website you see on your screen. Put the code in, choose yourself a name. This will give you a good idea of the types of questions you can expect on your lecture exam, as well as some of the areas to focus on when you're studying. But join on up, and we will get started here. Now, what's the Winston thing? I'm not getting that reference. What's Winston? Exclamation point. You'll have to explain that to me. Nobody. Little pisiform. Okay, I'm rooting for you, little pisiform. Okay, guys, we're going to get started here. Read the questions carefully, and here we go. What anatomy is eye labeling? You can zoom that image up, by the way.
Anatomy. So I'm going to do the head of the second digit.
It's not letting it up.
Wait, that was going too fast.
I know, I shortened the time.
I didn't have time to look at the image.
Eye.
I didn't even see it.
What is eye pointing to?
DIP.
I'm going to try to zoom it up. It wouldn't let me zoom it up. I'm sorry. But yes, the timer is quicker now. That was the DIP. All right, what is Q? What is Q?
I can't even look at the image.
Hard to see any letters.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
That stressing me out. I'm just looking at it as time goes.
I don't even have time enough to pull up the image before time's up.
Exactly.
Okay, don't worry. There's not a lot of. There's more questions than just that kind. I didn't think it was going to come up so small on your screens. So that was pointing to the body of the fourth metacarpal. And don't worry, on your image review test, you won't have a timer stressing you out. You'll be able to see your images very big and clearly. Yeah, it's not going to be like that on your test. It's going to be like.
And we get 2 whole hours, right?
2 hours.
Sure. It's 8:45 to 10:15. It's too hot. We can make it to 10:45.
Hour and a half.
We can make it to 10:45.
If you need time, if you need that much time, I can't help you anymore.
Hey, I gotta make sure it's right though.
No, guessing is a very, very bad idea. Don't second guess yourself. It's the worst thing you can do. I've told you all that before. Let's move on here. Largest carpal bone. Largest carpal bone. What is it, guys? Capitates. What's the smallest one?
Pisiform.
Pisiform.
Pisiform, that is correct. All right, the carpal bone located directly inferior to the thumb and on the distal row is the trapezium. The trapezium.
The notch that the humerus
The notch that the humerus fits into, located on the proximal end of the ulna, is that's going to be the trochlear notch. Trochlear notch. Little pisiform goes to first place. Okay.
Seriously.
B is pointing to what anatomical landmark?
I don't even know.
It's going to be the trochlea. The trochlea. If I do this again, I'll make those letters a lot bigger, I promise you. And clearer.
And more time.
More. This is a competition. You do not need more time. You gotta think on your feet. Think fast. F is referring to what anatomical landmark?
I hope it was a medial, not the lateral. It was a lateral, wasn't it? It was a lateral.
That is the lateral epicondyle.
Yeah, I know.
Lateral epicondyle.
Name the projection.
Name the projection. That's going to be a lateral elbow. Lateral elbow. Remember, it will not be a forearm unless we see forearm all the way to the wrist. It's only the elbow. It's going to be a lateral elbow. A lateral thumb must be at what SID? Okay, y'all are fast on that one. It's 40-inch SID. Everything we've talked about this entire chapter is 40-inch SID. Everyone got that right. Thank goodness. Good. Upper extremity x-rays must be exposed with that's going to be low KDP. You always use a low KDP on our upper. When exposing a patient with a fiberglass cast, how should the KDP be adjusted?
I don't know.
Plus 3 to 4 kVp. Plus 3 to 4 kVp. Make sure there's a whole slide on that, guys, where I talk about the different amounts that you can raise the KVp.
I see him
Type of cast it is. Make sure you review that slide. How much that KVp must be adjusted. Yes, Naomi. Oh, you didn't have a question? Okay, making sure. This X-ray, demonstrates what kind of fracture? It's a lot smaller than I expected it to be. I'm sorry. Way smaller than I expected. That's a fracture, and the way we know that, guys, is if the bone is outside the tissue, outside the soft tissue, it would be a fracture. The CR for a PA second digit should be perpendicular to what? Okay, Amy's moving up to third. So PIP, guys, on all your digits, it's going to be centered at the PIP. Make sure you look at those central rays, because depending on what body part we are looking at, those central rays do vary quite a bit between different types of joints. Pay close attention to those CR locations. PA thumb should demonstrate the entire thumb as well as what? It's going to be the CMC joint, guys. We must include the CMC joint. So even though you will see a lot of thumbs with a distal radius on there, it's not required. The one requirement on a thumb is going to be that CMC joint as well as that entire thumb. And do remember, guys, a key detail there. Remember, the thumb does not have a PIP. It only has an IP. So that's one way you can eliminate an answer if you see that on your tests. The thumb only has the IP. It does not have DIP or PIP. What degree of obliquity should a hand be positioned in for an oblique hand X-ray? That is going to be 45-degree oblique. All right, a lateral extension hand is performed for what? Okay, so it's going to be for foreign bodies. So for a lateral extension, we're putting the hand straight out, like a karate chop. We primarily do that X-ray to check for foreign bodies. What is the actual routine lateral that we do normally, though? What's that one called?
Fan lateral?
A fan lateral. So the reason it's not trauma cases only, guys, is that we can do fan laterals on a normal routine if the doctor's requesting that, especially if there's a foreign body within the hand. So primarily, we're going to be looking for foreign bodies on those extension lateral hands. The CR for a lateral wrist should be perpendicular to what?
No, I lied. She mid wrist.
It's going to be the mid-wrist. Mid-wrist. It's actually in between the base of those metacarpals and the distal radius and ulna. In between that would be the carpal bones, or what we call the mid-wrist. What angle should the tube be adjusted to for an ulnar deviation? (10 to 15 degrees). Cephalic, 10 to 15 degrees cephalic, towards the head. And make sure you remember, guys, when you're doing that in lab, because people really mess this up in lab, remember, when we're talking about cephalic, when a person's sitting down, if it's cephalic, it's towards the body. If it is caudal, it's towards the table away from your patient. So it can throw people off because they're not laying flat on their back, like you guys learned last semester. So cephalic will be towards your patient, caudal away from your patient, in case you do draw that in lab this week. For an AP elbow, what anatomy should be parallel to the cassette? Evaluation criteria is your clue. That's going to be specifically both of our epicondyles. It should be parallel to our cassette. You want to palpate that on the patient's elbow to make sure they're not obliques. Really parallel to that cassette. For a true lateral elbow, the arm should be flexed how many degrees? Oh, 90 degrees, sorry. I'm not telling you the answers. 90 degrees. 90 degrees for a true lateral elbow. The thumb contains what kind of joints? That's going to be cellar or saddle. Please review those joint names, guys, that you know both names. So if you remember, all the joints contain two different names. So it'll be cellar or saddle. How many bones are contained in the adult skeleton? That's an old one. 206. 206. And make sure you go back and look at the number of bones on the axial skeleton versus appendicular skeleton. May see that again. Vertebrae fall under what bone category? That would be irregular. Look at your bone classifications of different types. The area of bone where bone marrow is created is it's going to be the medullary cavity. So don't mix it up with spongy. By the way, spongy bone is where the marrow will be stored, versus medullary cavity is where it will actually be created. Periosteum is that wrapping around the bone, also where there's vein connections and artery connections. Compact bone is the protective hard bone around that entire bone for protection purposes. The process of bone creation is ossification. Ossification. All right. All right, third place Scully, second Little Pisiform, and first Jonathan Negri. Good job. So who was the Little Pisiform? That was John Harkins. And who was Scully?
Me.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, you've used Scully before. Now I remember that. Yes. So good job, guys. That's a little bit of a preview of the types of questions you can expect. Obviously, they will not be the exact same questions, but they'll be in similar style. One thing I did not include on this practice test, though, is make sure when you're studying, guys, that you go back. Hang on. Go back and look at the actual diagrams as well. because on your lecture test, I may have a few of the actual anatomy diagrams on there as well, like the cartoon versions of the hands, the models, or the radius ulna, whatever. That's all fair game as well. I'll go over all that evaluation criteria, the QA of the films, obviously anatomy for the image review. That's all going to be x-rays, by the way. Make sure you know the positions. Make sure you include the sides. Make sure you're specific to the body parts. And definitely go back and review that very first PowerPoint from this semester, guys, where we talked about the bone classifications, the arthrology, the bone development process. I'm not going to have a ton of questions from that, but they are going to pop up in there because that is important to know those as well. And if you guys like, I can't promise this, I think I may be able to share that quiz with you if you want to use it to practice. Would you guys like me to email that to you? Since it was a little too fast for some of you guys. I'll see if I can send that to you, and I think you can go in and practice at your own pace. Other than that, guys, are there any other questions about your test coming up or anything about this material that you need clarified, anything at all?
The image review, are you going to ask us, for example, I know that we write the name and stuff, but do you want us to also know, like, the kind of joints? You know how you asked us, oh, the thumb is saddle. Would you maybe ask that in there?
No, not on the image review, but I will ask that on actual multiple choice tests.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. And do keep in mind, guys, make sure when you get to your image review tests on Friday, make sure you look carefully to what I'm asking you to label. So if it's a joint, I'm going to say joints. I want you to label a joint. If it's a landmark, I want the landmark specifically to the parts. If it's just a bone, I want that specific bone. So pay attention to what I have in parentheses. I will have that specified for you exactly. Like there was something else, but I cannot remember. If I remember, if it's important I remember, I will let you know. But if you have any more questions, guys, please let me know. I know it's a lot of material. If something's just really not making sense, you need clarification, send me a message. I'll be glad to answer that for you. Also on Friday for this class, it would be profitable to you to try to get here early so you can get logged in, because we are going to start very promptly on time to make sure we can maximize the full amount of time for that image review as well as the test on Monday. So get here early as possible. I'll try to open the room up early so you can go ahead and get logged into Nearpod and we can make sure there's no technical difficulties going on. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today. We're done a little early. If you have any more questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. Other than that, good luck to you guys that are going to lab for your test out. Hope it goes well. And I will... Oh, I got a question here. How many questions do we have on the image tests? I have not decided for sure, son, but you can at least expect at the very bare minimum to have 4 different images. That'd be the bare minimum. Possibly more. All right, guys, we are done. I will see you all on Friday. Have a great evening. We'll see you on Friday. Enjoy clinic, enjoy lab. Goodbye.